Glory be to the Most High for today's presence, for today's grounding. I am gonna do a little bit of a really free form message today that's really inspired, honestly, just by my open channel. But there have been so many beautiful synchronicities that I feel like I am being asked to really acknowledge and allowed to let me kind of be the orator of the channeled message that I'm getting at this time. So, without a lot of blase or context needed, because we just want to keep this as universal of a message as possible, I came across this really special book, and it's a collection of poems. It's a collection of poems from Lucille Clifton, and this book was actually gifted to me by a then very dear friend who also happened to be my AP English teacher all throughout high school, who I ended up having this crazy karmic past life friendship. Like, our friendship really went beyond age, space, time, religion, and I kind of had to really be there for her, and she was up against probably some Saturn return type of energies. And there was all this physical drama with this person that I kind of got forced to. And when I was much younger, I had no idea nearly how my consciousness now would have processed that as oh, that was totally a karmic situation. But I witnessed her go through some of these really crazy moments that were radically vulnerable and revealing, and I was also her student. And I went to this very avant-garde school that had just been opened, so it was kind of my schooling was very non-traditional globalized West public school. It was very freeform and sort of intuitive and creative and very feminine. So the rapport between me and my educators was also much more like friends, and deep bonds, and so then it was some sort of power dynamic. So that's also context on this novel and this book. So this copy of this book was actually given to me, and I'm going to just borrow this Ace of Swords and use it to keep my place, because so this copy of this book was given to me actually as a graduation gift. So on the front cover, her name was Abigail. She had wrote me, this was gifted to me as one of my graduation gifts, and so it's dated, and I'm just gonna read it, and then because I'm gonna be reading and divinating a passage that Spirit gave to me today from this collection of poems from this author, and we'll really kind of go from there with the reading, but it all really adds up here. So, June 4th, 2015. Dear Alexis, I went to college in August of 2002. In September of 2002, my dad sent me this collection of poems with a note about how he missed me. When I thought about a book for you, this seemed like the perfect choice, as I know you will love Lucille Clifton, as I too, and her poems, and also because I will miss you next year when you are away at college. You are a gifted poet, and you must continue reading and writing when you are in Seattle. You have a beautiful, bold voice that you need to share with your communities. It has been an honor to be your teacher. You make me smile and laugh, and you challenge me and inspire me. Keep in touch with me as you embark on all of your future endeavors. Biggest love, AAG. So that was a real human in real time, a real educator of mine from damn near almost 10 years ago. And this was the gift that she bestowed with me. And the book is called Blessing the Boats. And so in came this whole channeled message about what we've been really referring to with the journey of Virgo Saint, and this archive of channeled messages that really follow this sort of ascension process and kind of cover all bases as best as I could purify and channel my vessel to sort of provide. And to know that, and to have that, and to see the connection between how this sort of energy of blessing the boats and Spirit has really kind of put on my heart this idea of those boats, those arcs that we were building, there was an integrity that needed to be upkept in terms of what kind of voyage did you and your team or crew want to have. Did you want to survive it? Did you want to be able to guide yourself through? Did you want to have a sound compass? Did you want to be able to arrive at a calm shore? Did you want to arrive at shore to war? Did you want to invade? Did you want to accidentally colonize? Did you want to intentionally colonize? Right? So we're talking about, for those of us at this point in the channel and in today's message, was kind of just this blessing of the boats. For those of us who had these boats that were built upon divine architecture and Akashic blueprints that informed us of exactly how we needed to build it, when we needed to build it, who was supposed to be there, who was supposed to be like when we had all of this, it was like this conversation from spirit about how that was going to be blessed. So I just wanted to open up and read a few. There's 4 poems that I sort of divinated today, and wanted to read and reflect on and kind of channel a message. And maybe this is just, I'm not even really thinking about it, but this is really just what I want to share at this time. So what we're going to do. This first one is titled Poem in Praise of Menstruation. If there is a river more beautiful than this, bright as the blood, red edge of the moon. If there is a river more faithful than this, returning each month to the same delta. If there is a river braver than this, coming and coming in a surge of passion, of pain. If there is a river more ancient than this, daughter of Eve, mother of Cain and of Abel. If there is in the universe such a river, if there is somewhere water more powerful than this wild water, pray that it flows also through animals, beautiful and faithful and ancient and female and brave. And that was Lucille Clifton, who, I think this was the start of the channeled message that I really wanted to open with, because I often am in praise of menstruation. When we talk about how or where can we locate these areas of replenishment to model our futures after, to model our growth after, to model our ascension after, we can turn to these ancient waters that all of these female animals that reproduce or procreate will have. This heat, this water, this pressure, this passion, this pain, this resiliency that exists in this population, and that source for me during this time has been everything. I didn't want to remedy, I didn't want to fix, and I didn't want to essentially change the fact that menstruation was a part of my monthly life. It was a cycle that I am on and will be on. I didn't want to change that. I didn't want to look at my creator and say, though it's painful, I wish it were different. I wanted to find a way to find the celebration, as Lucille Clifton would put, the praise in that space, the praise in that this unique experience is bestowed to me. Like the praise in the fact that perhaps it may be hard sometimes to find a source of inspiration, and I can look to a cycle that I have every month that confirms a lot of things for me, that confirms that my intention of consciously creating is still intact. When those rivers, when that water I trust is going to flow and is loyal to me, I don't feel that betrayal. Like I'll never have a moment where if I had conceived a child, I would feel like, what? No, I was expecting a period and I didn't get it. Like there is no broken covenant between me. I understand exactly what it takes for her to come to recede, for her waters to come to shore every month. You know what I mean? And it's a call and response. As long as I'm putting in that input, in that consciousness, she responds to me with her consistency and her arrival. And I feel like for some of us, we are finally seeing and becoming aware that we have holistically healed a relationship. We've realized that the most valuable thing, much like menstruation, in terms of our personal ascension, is having a relationship that you can trust in, right? Something, renewable resources that you can trust in. And in this poem, I think Lucille Clifton transcends even a conversation about like biology or human autonomy or whatever, she goes to talk about God. She's directly referencing God. If there was a force bigger than God, I would just hope that it was in everyone's image that God would, that source, that force would do like God is doing and putting itself through all of its creations to remind that creation, to reinforce in that creation that you are fucking all powerful. You are the one who is choosing your path. That is what I'm reminded of whenever I am visited monthly by those same waters within myself. And that's also what I'm reminded of when I think about God and when I think about our connection with Source. And so, funny enough, that at the bottom of the deck, I had spent a good, 10, 15 minutes in meditation, really cleansing this deck that I was going to use today. And the bottom of the deck, and I felt like I knew it was cleansed when I had arrived at this sort of Ace of Swords, this sort of crowning moment where we really come to understand how God reinforces the existence we live. Like, I came to a moment where, this Leo Mars had my heart roar, and I was able to even understand the concept of what it would mean to roar from my heart space, because it has been cleared, because my heart has been experiencing pumping and functioning in a healthy manner for such an extended period of time that my heart health is so revitalized. And it could come this time be emboldened to roar, that when Spirit brought that additional support, that backbone, that spine, that divine spine sort of situation, to really reinforce and to really ground and center. And it's like a pole, right? When Spirit came in and polarized our life, all of our duality started to create a density. And that's what the human form is. And so with Spirit, being on this planet is phenomenal. It's a work of art. It is a magnetized existence that has brought you into a form that we are surprised and delighted by in every moment. And Lucille Clifton has inspired me to think about God as the ultimate force, God as the highest power, God as the best we can imagine up and beyond, the best outcome, the highest outcome possible. When we look at that highest outcome, that alchemy, we would say that to anyone who is skeptical of that God force that I acknowledge, right? In my biology, in my makeup, everything about me acknowledges that. That's what this author, this poet is assuming that position. The respect that poet has. If there is anyone to question or counter, I am uninterested. I would just hope that if there is an even bigger force than the perfection that I'm witnessing in the loyalty, in the bravery, in the gusto, in the fervor of my God source and our God source, I would just hope that if there is something even greater than that it would sprinkle through into its creations. You know what I mean? To really remind and embolden the animals in which the life force, that God particle exists within, is embedded within in each of their DNA, that they are strong, powerful, and creative. So that is the first channeled message that I really wanted to open up with. And I'm going to get a little bit of water right now because right now it's safe. You know what I mean? I'm going to do something that might cause extreme joy. Let's do... There we go. So sorry about the first 13 minutes of that episode. I'm sure that many were having apologies. Yes. So there is this general energy at this time where, you are better for the ways that God has reinforced your existence and committed to you. Because the only wage I'm hearing, the only buy-in with God is your consciousness. God only asks that in return you occupy God consciousness. You know what I mean? That you dwell in your God consciousness. It's not even anything to obtain. It's just for you to activate. So the only exchange, the only collateral, the only payout God would hope to see is that enough of its creation choose to activate a consciousness, an awareness. If if interspecies started to connect and to communicate and to share the wisdom they've had about our population and our intention and our forthright and what we're really here to do and what our purpose is, if enough people spent their lifetime truly just unlayering and becoming their purpose, we would have a lot more harmony. We wouldn't see a lack of balance. There wouldn't be overpopulation. There wouldn't be overconsumption. There wouldn't be over deforestation. There wouldn't be over pollution. There wouldn't be any of these concepts that we are so saturated in at this time. And so that's why I do this work, you know, and that's why when I say the Ace of Swords is the best gift that the tarot could give any human, you know what I mean? Because it is the gift of the clearest vision of yourself, to receive that at this time, to know what the highest version of yourself is, which I think is what is being connected. I don't even have to talk about anything third dimensional. You would know right now that there is this clarity almost breaking through the sky of like what you really are. And when you are aware of what you really are, it's like instantly anything that, I mean, when it's proven in that level of clarity, when it is as clear as, okay, there's a big ass sword. I mean, we've got justice underneath it. It's like so backed by the greater framework of the universe that like, that you can't, it propels you into the wholeness that you've already achieved. It's like now that you've made it into the new grid, into the new timeline, into the new paradigm, and you've been the architect of your new world, this moment, this time, this awareness that God is the highest that you're aware of, that you could think of, is there's nothing bigger than that. And if there is something bigger than that, like, then the point of all that would just be like, please be as merciful and gracious as our current God, which allows us to intimately know commitment, intimately know that if we choose it, we can have consistency and stability and joy and reinvigoration and new life and refertilization, and we can naturally be sustainable working human beings. Yeah, get into it, tap in, you know what I mean? It's a phenomenal phenomena, you know what I mean? It's a world within itself. And just like the message of my old friend, you know, and teacher, you know, a lot of times I think the thing about me too is that, you know, I want to reveal more of myself in this archive and within this space. I mean, and I think I do a pretty damn good job. I don't think that I mean, it's interesting what's revealed, but whatever I do revealed, it's completely see-through. You can see all through it. And so, but I do want to be able to give more context to, you know, the way that my energy can make others feel, you know. And I take those words, they mean so much to me to know that someone felt that way about me. And this woman, polar opposite from me, you know, third dimensionally, we came from completely different racial backgrounds, like polar opposite, completely different religious backgrounds, polar opposite. But this teacher of mine, her life was really changed by a lot of Black literature, and she was able to position herself at the feet of a lot of really great Black voices. And so here I was with this really young talent, this very aware talent, this person that would go to certain outlets like my creative expressions that I was doing at the time to reveal myself, because there was so much silencing going on in my upbringing that I think wasn't because there's some evil force that was trying to shut me up. No, it's to make you come with power. It's to make sure that when you inevitably are what you're going to be, you know what I mean? Like this great orator, this oracle, this public speaker, this connector, this energy that's here, that was here, that is here. When I inevitably have to be that, you know, it's about understanding that there is not a single thing that could ever really keep you from that. And whatever blockages you were putting on yourself that were telling you, you know, you can't allow yourself to live that out. Are you fucking kidding me? At all costs, you can't do this. You can't You can't think like this about yourself. You can't go towards that. You can't express this. Look at what it causes. Look at the destruction. Look at what you'll have to clean up. Are we afraid of work? My friends, we've come to this earth, the earth of pain, the earth of time, the earth of constructs, the earth of endings, the earth of decomposition. We have come here, my friends. Are we afraid of work? Is that what we are afraid of? Some of our motivation, so it blows up in our face, the lesson we're learning that we're choosing. So we wanted the destructive path. You're not afraid of the work. You're not afraid of what you'll have to do. That's the sweet surrender. That's when you start feeling good again. That's when you start feeling alive again. When you are paying what is owed, when you are working and giving, and you see reflections of yourself in this giant reality. Mirrors. When you are there, you feel alive. You feel closest to God. So what keeps us at that precipice from falling in to the river, falling in to what we're experiencing, allowing ourselves the loyalty, the safety, the security that is actually given? When we choose change, instead of ignore the phenomena and still live under its control all the time, that's God. God is change. So you can ignore God, which is quite literally, if you want to think about it in a very reduced, I have the time, it's Gemini season, okay? If you want to think about it in a very reduced linear way, God is the springboard, is the parameter. It's where your mind, it's what your mind is bending the light, it's reflecting the light off of. Whatever that point is, you believe in God. You all do. You base any understanding, any argument, any perception of yourself, right? So when we talk about Tethered Studios here, which is the giant studio that I've been obviously this channel is aiming to prop up, right? It's because of the phenomena of the tethered experience here, right? We are infiniteness being just like a magnifying glass and sunlight with a source. When you shine the light of that source into this illusion, which is planet Earth, which is that it's flat. Even though it's a circle, it feels flat. You feel like you're on a second dimension, right? So that's the uniqueness of how we make a space-time continuum, because the Earth is rounded and it's like an energy vortex of just an illusion. But we are thinking we are flat on it. So that flat landing board is God, because your reflected light now comes into a density, into a single point, which is me right now, which is you right now. But it also reflects light like you now. And so the light that gets reflected once you hit God in your mind, in whatever you think is reality. Reality is framed with the understanding of what is God, because God is the highest possible outcome. That is what it is. It's the fully solved Rubik's Cube, right? So whether you pray to it or whether you think of it in terms of like some sort of entity, you have imagination, which is also God. God can take any form. So you could see God as a giant Ganesha, like, elephant sort of deity with all of this crazy beyond belief sacred geometry and symbolism, or you could see God as a pale-skinned man with long hair and very much human, and or you could see God as deep animals, or it doesn't matter, right? Like, but the idea is that there is this innate understanding that what brings something into a flat reality, that would be God's perception, because you are bouncing off the Creator's concept. You have to have a point at any, if there is something that starts something, anything that the genesis is really the God concept here. So we have all of this happening right now, and you're realizing that without there even needing to be anything else to say about it, like being invigorated by God in this intimate way, I will literally say it crowns you. It deems you like stupid psychic, like exactly what's coming, because you know that you are because when the light is now, you've tethered, you've fragmented, you've understood why you're here. You understand God, right? You understand through limitations, through this bended reality on planet Earth. You understand what you were through the duality, right? Gemini season, through the pole, through not being infinite, through not being immortal. You know what you are. You really do know what you are, because you're everything that doesn't get left behind here. Everything on planet Earth dies. Everything on Earth you will lose, right? So at this time, when we think the reminders, much like menstruation, are those reminders that you don't lose God. And even when you're living here on this very finite earth, God, if you allow, will let its waters wash in, inspire, and refertilize you and recede, and let you allow you to detach, allow you to trust that in the now moment you are always supplied for, that it will always be there, that resource will always be there. But what is needed for God to give you never-ending abundance? Trust and faith, right? That's like two sides of the same quarter, right? You, in order to develop a level of trust and faith in what's going on right now, how do I trust that I'm going to get my period the next month? Well, we have to debunk these myths, because the only time unless, again, we're not trying, just say that I'm a human with a uterus, and if I want to get my period next month, because I don't, the thing that would not bring that, the abnormality would be that, like, oh my God, I'm not going to get my period next month, which would mean I was pregnant, which would mean I'd have to come to terms with the consciousness it takes, because the fertilization of the uterus, when you quite literally have eggs that are ready to be fertilized, is a conscious choice to create. That's what happens, is the conscious choice to create, right? And so the only thing, like, God can give you the outcome. If I didn't want to bear a child, right? If that's not what I wanted to have, if I didn't want to create a situation in my life, right? Bearing the child is synonymous to, if I didn't want to create something, all God needed you to do was commit to embodying your God consciousness. If you don't want a certain outcome and you want God to come through like God always does, the only thing God asked you at this time was to make your house a dwelling for God, which means you have to be the highest possible vibration of yourself. Because at this time, it's impossible to live without anxiety or these lower, baser things when we let because remember, we have the Scorpio South Node right now. And what that was really telling us is that, but best believe if you let your energy just sink to the bottom low enough, it will get grounded out. We've talked about that on this channel, right? And when you get low enough, when you get close to that blender, that's like obliteration, because you're about to be transformed into something new, a new form. When you get low enough, that's when there's jealousy, greed, ego, poverty, harm, hurt, violence. Like, there's all of these baser things that you can't get your head out of. You can't even bring yourself energetically to swim out of, because you've let the quality of your dwelling is that God can't exist there. And so when we talk about that, let's take it to another dimension, because I don't want anybody to think this is subjective. Again, Gemini sees me at the time. When I say making your temple a dwelling, and let's talk about the physical body, right? Which is where you are channeling all that you actually are, right? Because the thing that's making me move around right now isn't science. Yes, I'm alive, but what makes me alive versus unalive? You know what I mean? What makes me give you this? That's my spirit, okay? So the energy that you feel from me right now is everything beyond the obvious thing that makes us all the same, that we have cheeks and eyes and eyebrows and hair and teeth and blah, 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 right? That's the stuff that's all the same about all of us. So what's the thing that makes us all radically fucking different is that we're channeling a different God, a portion of God energy, right? So you are quite literally the physical embodiment, the physical density, because so at the conception, when your mother's egg, which was you, got fertilized and attached with something that could build it into a chromosome. So now it's like, right? So there's just the egg, right? But then when the sperm comes and fertilizes, they become a new organism, it's like embryo, and then it's like doubling, third dimensional human, right? Baby. Okay, so the way that's exactly how God would assemble, because God is both male and female. God is both woman, which created the void, created the space, to then male come attached to now make a reflected light, right? A polarity, like there's as above, so below. Like that is how the geometry of this is. That's what took it from one dimension to this third dimension, this physical, right? We are on a physical planet. So now that you are a physical vessel, you are all the infinite, the energy in me, that's the infinite part that came into a solid matter. So when there was a God particle that started attracting all of the components of my energy into me, to my physical baby body, my little baby body. And then I'm birthed out of my mom into this like physical reality, which is just a mirage. So now I'm on the earth plane. And now I'm God in the physical, but I'm all of this bigger energy. And, you know, it's important for us to really understand that now that you have a physical body, this is where your chakra system comes in. This is where terms like chi, right? The physical energy, when you get Reiki, when we are moving, when we talk about auras, right? The thing that is now the mystical part of you, the spirit of you that is now inside of this body. If you have blockages from past lives that you came into this life, new karma that you're creating here, things that can create density throughout the body. This is why the health and the thoughts around how we remain in health, and the only reference of health that I actually take has nothing to do with the third dimension. The actual reference of health that I reference is having the body in optimal condition for spirit to run completely through in a perfect circuit. That, however that may look for you, when you achieve that, you'll know that. And that's where I'm at right now. That's the only thing I strive for, which isn't it's not a weight, it's not a look, it's not a size, it's none of that. It's like it's a sense of you'll know when all of the spirit, like when I take in my prana, when it can go to every aspect of me and replenish and give oxygen to those cells and come out, when I know that it can do that, and I can also then transform channeled information to every part of myself and live it as an embodiment. Like I can, because there are blockages. Like I could be a reader who also isn't physically connected, like who doesn't want the things that come down to also resonate for me, right? Like you could. So we talk about this, right? So what I'm really trying to get you to understand is that you are now this God body that's here in the physical and is also responsible for making sure that the wind, right, the element of spirit, can travel all throughout you. So this is when the medical world supports that spiritual phenomena, but we must understand it is merely just a human trying to identify, right, what this larger phenomena is really happening. And so that can come from different things that we take on, subconscious patterns we have, right? Like the body has got to be here to serve you for as long as it possibly can. So when we have these subconscious programmings where we're not eating real food, or we're not, or we're part of a society, or our economic background, we let that limit us from believing we can have access to the things we need that are actually going to nourish and keep, right? So then there comes all of the matrix, which could give you a million reasons why you can't achieve that singular understanding of health, right? Which is to let your spirit fully dwell in this home. And so for those of us who did make our temples, our vessels, our boats a dwelling where God could come in the eye of the storm and reinforce the boat to make sure that it's going to sail right through. In fact, you missed it. You guys went right on through. That is the blessing that I feel like Lucille Clifton was giving us. And that's what I really wanted us to kind of open up and understand, that at this time, like, you're able to really, you were able to move at this time because there was a completion of this. This is like one of the first times that I feel like I'm able to, it's more than about living beyond survival more. It's more than breaking from restrictions. It's deeper than that. It's connectivity. I'm like fully online. I'm like a completed circuit. Like there's a sustainability running through my vessel that reinforces and gives out. Like if I wanted to be in order, I had to keep working so that when I would get to a certain point, and that you could grow alongside me and see me get to a certain point of like the messaging I'm giving now. I don't even have to open the deck of cards. I am engaging in literature the way that I need to be and following through on the guidance of my teachers. Like the biggest lesson that I've learned is that I had to keep doing it, and in the times where I'd stop reading, stop writing, stop contributing, stop sharing, stop developing my craft, stop playing the instruments I used to play, when I'd stop doing that, that's when it goes away. I was talking, this is like a random aside, but I was telling my husband, he's a native, his first language is Spanish, and my in-laws, like, they really predominantly only speak Spanish. I mean, they speak English fine, but if I really wanted to get like anywhere in the immediate side of my entire fiance's family, like they're all first generation. I mean, well, they're not all, he's a first generation American, but they're all straight, like, it's just straight up like, and I always tell myself, I studied Spanish from grades 7 through my sophomore year of college, so that there's a substantial understanding of the language that I don't think can go away when you just had to keep it a part of your curriculum. But it is something that I tell myself that I'm like, it's really just about working the muscle. It's just about revisiting that. It's just about really doing that, otherwise we lose these things, right? So maybe that's the biggest understanding, is that the only thing that's required for you to be in your God self, to be in this highest timeline or highest consciousness, is the constant commitment to do it. And so then maybe that's what God is asking, is for your commitment. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of us are really experiencing or seeing at this time, which is like, if you really would have wanted God to come save you from yourself, you would just have to make it to where God could even come into your situation through synchronicity and enact something, but it can't help you if you haven't actually kept the body up. Because life duality, Gemini season is going to tell you it could go either side of the pole. It could go either side of the pole. You know what I mean? And when it is on either side, like, you can keep doing the blah, 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 you can blah, 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 but you're the whole thing. You can keep shock factor of yourself. But what it's asking you, though, is there anything that you can maintain? Like, you know what I mean? Like, victim consciousness doesn't really fly in Gemini season. Geminis aren't victim of it. Like, if you hate on a Gemini, they're like, okay, well, you hate on me. Or they're aware. You know what I mean? Because they could tell you logically, like, oh, somebody doesn't like me, or they don't. It's just like they're looking at a pole, or they're looking at this aspect of myself, and that is just what it is. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to the commitment. It just comes down to, yeah, life can eat you up and spit you out. That might be your karma in this lifetime. So then the end of the day, what really matters? And I'll tell you, from my personal perspective, it's the things that you stayed committed to regardless. There has to be something in your life that you will do and for you, and that you will maintain. And most of the times it's self-knowledge. Like, that's the only suggestion I would tell you, is the one thing no one can actually ever take away from you is your knowledge of yourself. Period. Because they could take away your other knowledge. They could just render you, they could make you feel like it's useless. They could make you feel like, nope, that's outdated. It doesn't even matter. What you think you're an expert in isn't real. People can gaslight you and change the context just to make you feel like the expertise you have doesn't even exist. They can do that about external information, but what can they not do? What can they not touch? I looked like a cheddar tooth when I did that. I was like, what can they not touch? It's giving Steve Harvey. No, but seriously, what can they not really take from me? Nobody can take away my knowledge of self, because I am literally the only person on this planet that has kept record of myself for the last 26 years since birth. More than my mother, more than my father, more than any other person that's close to me, more than my husband, more than anybody. The only person that's actually seen this shit from start to finish is me. And so at this time, you should be emboldened, because the Ace of Swords is your truth, the truth of who you are. And it will feel like a gift right now if you know that. They can even take your knowledge. They can take your subjective knowledge. They did that to me, bro. Last 3 years of my life, the industry that I have been in since I was a literal babe, a literal child. Like, I had very early stardom and success in a specific area. And I'll tell you, the last 3 years, oh my God, the world would have made you think that I had none of that. That none of the things that I achieved really existed. That, oh, you don't know anything about this industry. No. Like, there will be times where you can't even ground that you know what you know. But you know what's amazing about, no matter what paradigm shifts, you are still you. What will never change, no matter how radically different the world is what me and my fiance went through in our lives. Our story will always be our motherfucking story. And so what we did here with Virgo Saint North Node is go on the fucking record. As I was going through, I didn't have shit throughout this entire production. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of technicality, in terms of distracting you with technological advancements, in terms of like still giving you the same message, none of that could be. I had every reason to think that there was no fucking way on this damn planet that me sitting down each time at this fucking iPad to try to give this damn message was going to have any impact on my now moment. And most of the times it didn't change how much money I was making, or whether I had a house, or whether I was going to get a job, or whether I was making friends, or whether I felt good about myself, or whether I wanted to be on this. Didn't change any of that most of the time. And I knew that. Because what I was going through was the school of earth, right? Which is learning through detachment, learning through pain, learning through, having to be separate from your, when you're in the cosmos, you're everywhere. You're everywhere at once. There's no one thing. You can dial into anything. You're everywhere. You're not finite. You're not confined. You know what I mean? And then you're here. It's just like, because I'm me. I'm a, black person who lives here, and I'm not over there. I'm here. You know what I mean? It's like you're tethered, So you can be fucking frustrated, because you're just like, what the fuck? Like, I am not, like, the real me, the thing that's making all this go is not tethered, but my little vehicle is. And I'm in the vehicle. Because the vehicle can't do anything without my spirit, and my spirit can't do shit on this plane without my vehicle. And that's all God wanted you to realize. That's it. You're not being punished by being here. You come to the land of what feels unnatural to get a understanding of nature and divinity itself. It doesn't feel natural to be separate from other people, to be separate from my source, to not be everywhere. What do you mean I can't teleport? What do you mean I can't heal myself? What do you mean I can't magically come to life? What do you mean I can't regenerate? Humans come here to show God that aspect of itself, to show that grit, to show that we can God loves humanity and the organisms of this planet so much, especially where they are right now, because we are right in the page turn where it gets fucking amazing. We are coming out of our heart space. We are coming out of the mud. We are really ripping through, and we are making these feet towards a whole understanding that we can define ourselves. I think we are a clay block that is just now realizing clay is the primary basis of all art, and I think we're just realizing that we can take this density, this block, this thing that brings all of us here together in this primordial soup, and maybe we can move things around, and we can allow for freedom, and we can allow for expansion, because the preset of this universe is always infinitely expanding in this massive breathing womb alive vortex interdimensional plane. Because we're always doing that, I think we're going to start to sculpt, and what a time to be alive as a human right now, in the short blip of time we really do get to be human, to witness and be aware of what the collective is about to sculpt now that we have enough God consciousness to come out of the soup and mold the clay to be an even bigger thing. And now we can move, and now we can take this whole race, this whole fucking space-time continuum forward. I mean, there's a bigger objective, And so with all of that being said, the feelings of wanting to make every excuse to be exactly what the frick you are. And in my case, it's so embarrassing. Be glad you aren't me, because my karma was you are the biggest deal, quite literally, and the cost, I had to learn the hard way how much it was going to cost me to not do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is giving this fucking breakthrough message that's going to it's really nuts. And it's going to be funny, because to even give this message and to channel in this way, where I'm literally just conversationally holding your attention for 42 minutes and 52 seconds, like a sleigh on my part, this is really what I'm supposed to do. But the reason that I'm able to succinctly do this and take you places and allow you to listen and allow you to transcend whatever the fuck you think is going on, this is just literally my house. So I'm just sitting here, but the audio here that you're really able to digest is allowing you to do so much. And it took so much for me to holistically embody this, because I'm telling you, the quality of messages you get when you are fully open, when there are no blockages, when you are whistling, quite literally, my spirit, my physical body is whistling everywhere I go, and it's something that everybody is noticing and everyone is seeing. And that's a part of this God is it sounds like a flute, when you really have cleared your, not just your heart chakra, but then the blockages, the clearing of the heart chakra, you allowed it to change your physical vessel as well, and now you're seeing yourself in optimum prime shape. You are just and I don't just mean physical shape, I just mean your vessel is ready to take on just how much expansion it's about to get. I think you would feel very much at that place. I don't know why my body, my mind, my spirit has been rapidly morphing, because it's about to take on just so much more, and sometimes I'm speaking and I'm giving and I'm doing all this, and I don't even realize that truly when they say the steps are the answer, one step at a time creates the actual movement. That's not to teach you that you about patience. Patience is like an illusion. It's like a Sagittarian illusion. It's not anything. You don't have to be patient for anything. That's just the actual science of the world, right? So I'll just use my marriage as example, right? So I got married on February 14th of 2023, right? I had been with my partner for 6 years, right? So every single day between the day that I met him and the day that we like were at the altar was a day, a whole 24 hours. And one thing that was really beautiful about going through the wedding marriage process and then deciding to elope and then deciding how to like change our marriage around to make the most sense was the awareness that you get 20, that I really understood was the limitation of a day, which is that you get 24 hours. So then you start to think to yourself, I'm a bride and I'm celebrating my love, my achievement, right? This is as important as me graduating college. Like in terms of like love and relationships and relating, I'm declaring that this is the lifetime partner. That's a big accomplishment, right? If that's what you're trying to do. So I've arrived at this place and, I'm having to pay attention to the fact that like on Dennis and I's best days and on our worst days in those 6 years between first meeting and being married, there was only 24 hours. And there's only so much we can do. And it could only do blah, 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 this and that and the third. And so what it helped me realize that the day was that everything that would invalidate me wanting to keep going, like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can have a boyfriend at this time. Like, I don't know if I can, like, follow what my heart is telling me to do, which is that this is my person, like, 1,000%. And that if I just am open to being with him, I'll see how there is no blockages and that everything that I thought would be so in the way with this person, everything in my life was a mess. Everything in Dennis's life was a mess when we met. But then for whatever reason, God just kept this relationship so possible to flourish. Like, I just, in the weirdest ways. And so, all it took was really saying yes, but it also only took saying that, like, today is just as important as the really big days where you maybe one day would marry this man, because it'll still be a 24-hour day, and that marriage will only mean something because I spent 365 times 6 days with this person. You know what I mean? That's why it meant so much. You know what I mean? I had so much, for me at least, I had so much proven understanding that, like, because with marriage, I mean, I'll tell you this, I knew I was going to marry my husband the second I met him. Like, you just, whatever, right? I knew, that's just the synastry of what, like, because we just have a really crazy synastry, but the second I met him, it was like the first thing I told one of my best friends who was also Capricorn. I said, I'm pretty sure I found the one. And she's like, oh God, who? Like, who are you talking about now? I'm like, no, I'm not even kidding. Like, I think this is really, like, the person. And here we are married. But, I kind of knew immediately, but the marriage in the earth realm marriage is a lot less about your ability to identify like a soulmate or a compatible energy. Like that's not even really what marriage is about on the third plane. Marriage in the third dimension to me is like, what are you really trying to build? What are you trying to make? And so I would only get married if, like, to me, like, my husband was a part of something I was trying to build. That could be a family, that could be like a space of healing and longevity. It could be anything, but like I really feel like there's the marriage in this dimension, because it's so much to do, is just claiming a good partner that you can hold record of your life with. That's really where I feel like the institution of marriage really is, versus just like, because you can find people, like, you can also not want to get married because and still have a soulmate that is someone that you could be married to, but you're choosing not to, because if you don't feel like you and that person have something to build necessarily that marriage would reinforce, then there's not really a point, you know what I mean? So that's why I say, like, there's nothing wrong with marriages. It's not really anything, it's not really a hot topic, nothing's really changed. I think the reality and the truth of marriage is, like, if the institution and you two being in a legalized union can reinforce what you have to go on to build, then do it. But I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not people are able to identify a partnership that could last a lifetime. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I think you can just do that and just know. So all of that to say, each day really mattered, because no one day was more important. On days when I achieved a lot, or in days when everything felt like it was falling apart, neither of those days were more important. It was just that I added another day, that I spent another day, because when it came time to say yes to his proposal and for him to say yes to my proposal back to him, like, it was all about how could you get through the days? Could you do the days, good and bad, happy and sad? Like, could you do the days together? You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of also a part of this message, which is just like, some people were really like cashing out, being like really, there's just a lot of energies that like could really get you, because like they try to make you reinforce like this paradigm of like, this really matters, or this bad day, or this day where the tower fell really was defining. But just like when you achieve really amazing things, like it's actually no more defining than every day. Like every day is my day. Every day is my day of celebration. It's just as important as the day I got married. And I want to build on that momentum. Like the day that I got married a few months ago, like it was like, that was us saying like, we want to feel this elation as our floor. So we're building on that, And so I think that's a new way to also just kind of think about time and think about achieving goals in this reality. Something that Capricorn really teaches us, which is this like, well, step by step would really be the only way to do this, because the achievement of climbing the mountain isn't even really the point. It's really just like you don't even hold enough RAM storage. You're just trying to get one step after another step after another step, and that's the only way to really build endurance. It's the only way to really do anything, you know what I mean? Because you can make it to the top of the mountain and then die if you don't have enough energy to get back down. Such amazing spirit messages, seriously. So I feel like that's the one poem I'm going to read, because we're at 50 minutes and it was just a beautiful download. But let's see if there's any tarot. Empress, dare I say? So beautiful. Menstruation, Empress, look at this. Look at this. So we're talking about that river that rushes. You see the red robe that rushes through all of this. You know what I mean? The thing that allows you to cultivate everything is because now, just like the magician, Mercury, Gemini season, it's like you're going from Taurus season to Gemini season. It's like Taurus season, you became the Empress. You cultivated, you planted all the seeds, and they were all sprouting and growing, and you were responsible for maintaining that. So there you are doing your part, cultivating, right? And then as you're doing all of that work, you're also getting lighter, you're opening up, things are able to flow through. Once you really, like a really strong Empress, I mean, that's when you can run the whole empire and it runs smoothly, you know what I mean? Because the Emperor has more of a connotation of just like governance, like being able to handle anything that happens, that goes wrong in the palace, like making jurisdiction over that. And the Empress is more of the like, I keep all of this going. I'm the source of all of the flow. So the Emperor is that's kind of the distinction that I kind of feel, you know what I mean? When we think about like an Empress energy, it's more about the like, that's kind of like employee retention. That's more about like, Emperor is gonna like deal with like if I gotta fire you. Empress is more like, how can we make this sustainable and work for all of our moving parts? You know what I mean? So once we really get to understand how we make all of the moving parts flow, then we realize that that means we ourselves, our vessels, are open to letting everything flow. So then we can alchemize, because alchemy you can't make any magic happen that is out of the fabric of the universe. Like magic really is seizing opportunity, and that's what Gemini will tell you. Magic truly is the understanding of opportunity to seize, before it happens. So that's why it's more of an illusion, because a magician only can exist in time, in like the third dimension, because he has to use the illusions to bend time and space and to make outcomes come that he foresees essentially before his audience, you know what I mean? So it's really more calculated, and it's more of a scientist, it's more of like alchemical process than it is anything. But so we're gonna just see what messages Spirit has right now. But yes, I feel like there was this blending of, being aware of how you'd have to be responsible for running everything, you know what I'm saying? And then it comes sort of the alchemizing. So then we've got the Seven of Swords and the Nine of Wands to open this up. So this is fucking beautiful. This is really fucking beautiful, because the Seven of Swords means like there was an opportunity, or there was an awareness. This is what I'm talking about. Like something thought like in terms of mentally, in terms of like illusions, in terms of just like general truths, someone could this is about ego, this is about spirit, this is a spiritual checkpoint, because when you can get robbed, again, this is where they can change the context of the knowledge you have. Remember when I was talking about how the things you think you know, they can change the variables on you to make you to where it's like you don't know anything actually outside of yourself. This is when spirit has put you in a position to where you can't trust or rely on any knowledge that you have outside of yourself. You can only rely on you. The Nine of Wands is like after the war, after the spiritual magic war that took place, I'm the literal only one that stayed alive. Like after all these fucking wands were shot at me in the Eight of Wands and my army, I'm the last man standing. So I'm the last person that can like hold record of like the carnage that I faced, and that like I'm now responsible in this Nine of Wands of like honoring the fallen soldiers, honoring the record of what happened, healing and grieving myself, but nonetheless I am the one who was apt enough to survive the war. So there is a success in the Nine of Wands that says like, holy shit, like I'm the literal, like I'm here right now and it's just me. You know what I mean? And I think up until the Nine of Wands, you're collaborating with a lot of other magic. It's a lot of group magic. You know, in the first beginning parts of, you know, the wand suit, right? Because you get your Ace of Wands and then immediately you have a vision of how you can expand it. Two of Wands, and then you start like manifesting and attracting ships that can come in that can help you like make a physical like home, like have a physical situation happen, have a physical union. Four of Wands, and then Five of Wands is like really like, you know, sharpening that union and really like being, are you going to be successful? Are you going to be successful in this union? Five of Wands, when things get chaotic, when there's other things stacked up against it. It's if you think about like a marriage, like okay, you get married in the Four of Wands, but then the Five of Wands is like that phase of like understanding the identity, clearly knowing what's your wand, what's your lane, what is yours, what belongs to you. You know what I mean? Because if you do that correctly, if you make it out of the Five of Wands and you're aware that the point isn't to fight other people, it's just to be aware of what your energy is, and that's the only reason you were thrown in the Five of Wands, you go into the Six of Wands and you're successful and you're parading along other successful energy because you're on the road to success. You achieve that. You all graduate. You know, Six of Wands is more of like a graduation than just like one dude being that the best bitch. You know what I mean? It's like of all the people who pass the test, you get to relish in the victory of the union. You're whole within yourself, you know? And then therefore, because you're whole in yourself and you got that boost, you got that spiritual affirmation that like you are successful. You are as successful as you think you are. You go on to the Seven of Wands, which is what I'm seeing right now, is like you stand above the rest. You tower above the rest. You can look at other success and still see that your success still is the only thing that really should matter to you. Seven of Wands is like you don't have to be against anyone else's success, but you're not intimidated by other people being successful. You're not like, there's something about, and this is also just all channeled, so like there's something about like you aiming for your success doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge that there could be other successful people, but you understand why this is for you. Seven of Wands, you understand why the defense and the height difference, the being above that, the perspective that you have to be focused on is you. Because Seven of Wands is when you're now surrounded by a bunch of successful people, successful energy. There are other successful wands, you know what I mean? And you have to, when the mic is passed to you, do you feel like you need to push back? Do you feel like everybody's against you? Like, how do you deal, right? Because then Eight of Wands can either be everybody propelling you forward or everybody coming at you, because whether you provoke unprovoked, Seven of Wands is kind of that energy. Seven of Wands is all about being secure in your success because you're going to be elevating. You see what I mean? You're elevating. The Seven of Wands is elevating and you're going forward. So you got to be secure in your success. You don't got to fucking knock other people down. You don't got to wish bad on other people. You don't got to start going crazy. You don't even got to feel like you need to defend yourself. Because when the Eight of Wands comes in, that's like, shoot fire. And it's like, bah, like all of these arrows coming at your face. And you're like, why? Like, it's just fast moving and you can't stop once all that, like, so what you do in the Seven of Wands tells the universe like what direction to shoot all of this at you at, you know what I mean? Because if you were feeling insecure, then you're going to feel overwhelmed when you receive all the attention back, you know, all of the fast moving magic, all of the manifesting at one time. You'll just feel insecure, and you know what I mean? And then you'll go to the Nine of Wands, and it's like you've blocked, you put a wall up. You're like, I don't want anymore, I don't want anymore, I don't want to go to the Ten of Wands, I just want to put a wall up because that was painful. Or it can be like, oh my God, everything I've ever wanted all at once is coming to me. And when it all comes in, when all of your dreams come true, you realize, like, damn, you might be the only person that survived that. But that's meant to really help you. This is gonna be the most helpful position, Nine of Wands, because you survived where everyone else got taken out because they unfortunately, like, their truths got taken. Like, it's almost like when the Seven of Swords comes, it's like you left yourself open and now your shit's just getting swiped. It's like kind of what I'm getting. And you were really able, like, you somehow are just like really at a place of like, wow, somehow I didn't get caught up in the deception. And so when it all really said and done, Nine of Wands, because I didn't get caught up in the deception, that was the first thing that came out. I'm now the record holder of the deception, and that kind of empowers me and emboldens me, and it actually now puts me, believe it or not, ahead. Like, I was being deceived, but it actually was like a major level up for you, because you just knocked out so much in one fell swoop. Like, someone took like a whole, like a bad situation I'm almost hearing, like took a whole line of like shit out of the way at one time. That's why you volunteered to do it. That's why at a soul level you knew, like, whatever hardship you're just now coming out of, like, you know, especially with that Taurus new moon message that I was giving, like, you knew that whatever happened under that energy was really just going to take everything it needed to take in one fell swoop, which is probably why it was easier than having to go through this all individual. It's just like would have been a lot. So I just feel like it's easier to take someone who like let a deceptive situation happen that's actually going to put you way ahead. You know what I mean? It's actually going to make you realize, like, you're the actual only viable option. You're the only one they would want to choose. You're the only one standing, is what I'm hearing. Oh my God, Three of fucking Swords, right? Look at this. This is such a specific fucking message. Because you end up, the King of Swords ends up, like, people thought that, like, being deceptive to you and laughing at you when they thought you were getting it was funny, and they now are realizing, oh shit, that person was dodging a bullet. That person was leaving. That person is looking back like, hell nah, I'll take these 7 swords. I'll take this little deceptive bullshit because it's actually just going to help me anyways. Like, it's a type of situation where, like, a lot of truths were thrown at you in a deceptive manner. But if you actually sit with it and you're not afraid of the 7 of Swords and all the deception, you can actually parse through and actually you get a lot of truth to help you almost, like, I'm here to level you up. Like, the things that were made clear, like some of the insecurity, the deflection, the deception, the ego, the whatever you were dealing with in that last cycle, getting all of that at once actually helped you get like a shit ton of confidence. One, because you literally dodged the 3 swords. Because at least for you right now, it's like broad daylight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm almost hearing like you were sacrificing the damn daylight. Like, and it was so public. And it was so like, ooh. And people really, you know, and people really thought they were getting one over, and you like, huh, phew, we could just put all of our swords on Alexis and she'll just take them and we can all be scotch-free. But then they didn't realize that, like, God was protecting you because you were the person that was like, oh shit, oh, like, I'm gonna take these swords now and get the fuck out of here because it's about to get stormy. And I really don't got time or energy or any space for the storm. Like, the worst that I'm getting in trouble for here is like, you know, I just needed some more information. I just needed more truth. I was digging for more truth and I got what I needed from that. You know, that's what the 7 of Swords says is if you need more reinforcement, if you need more examples of like why this is the truth for you, do this now while the stakes are very low, because the 3 of Swords is like when the truth penetrates how you feel, that's going to make you feel bad. See, I'm getting that some of you realize that when you may have both is like a tower situation, but one, you don't feel bad. The other person feels bad. Do you see what I'm saying? At least you got the hurt that doesn't make you personally feel like a bad person, because that's where you have to unpack. That's what makes it stormy skies. But that's also what makes the King of Swords. Like, the King of Swords had to fucking be a samurai, bro. He's got tea, right? His sword had to cut a few things down for him to sit, just for him to live his life, I'm hearing. Just for him to sit up here in his truth, for him to be seated and at his own throne of his own kingdom of truth, of spirit, his own spirit of truth. He's governing over that. He knows both of these energies intimately, and in this time, you see what I'm saying? The King of Swords was the one who brought down the hurt. Because I'm getting that somebody was stealing from someone they didn't know was the King of Swords, and that's going to come back and hurt. Because the King of Swords has the power to, like, make that world really, you get me? And so then there's this energy of the moon, right? Which is like the other side of this, right? So, you know, it's almost like in daylight there was pain, but it was almost like you knew, this is what I'm channeling, you knew that like by day there was this painful situation, this painful ending, this situation, it's 10 of Swords, it's dead, it's done, something ends. And one party like can walk away from the ending and like doesn't actually feel bad about themselves, doesn't actually feel like they've done really virtually much wrong. The other party, not so much. The other party left with the pain. So I think that's really like, it's not about me telling you you're a good or a bad person. That doesn't really matter. It's really about how you feel, right? So when you get done with something karmically, you'll know how you feel. The karma is instant. You know exactly what certain things will make you feel. So I'm also getting that. It's so funny. It's like by day someone was trying to paint in the conscious light because they only knew one side of you. This is the beautiful, this is the protection, and just taking the humility, let them laugh, let them say whatever, let them snicker, let them jeer, let them whatever, as you literally leave before darkness descends, before I'll give you something to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, before you really get something to talk about, you leave before that happens. And because you do that, God, what gets revealed on the other side of the moon, which is the other side of you that they don't see, which is the success, is that you get this fucking new renewal, right? You get this whole opportunity where this whole time we're trying to meet up with an equal, this opportunity, what's revealed under the moon is that you have an opportunity ready for you. And that's what I mean. It's a renewal. It's the cup. Someone's about to give you the cup that you're going to be able to sit, because you're the King of Cups, and the King of Cups needs his cup. So this is the cup that the King of Cups needs in order to govern every day, to do his spiritual path. This is the intuitive spiritual king. He is the king, right? So in order for you to, so for me, like, this is like a new job, right? Like, so it could be something like that, where it's like, you're finally getting the job that will let you live out your spiritual purpose, or you're finally getting the renewal that's letting you, that renewal will be in your hand. And it's the type of resource that comes in that lets you fucking sit and govern in your psychic abilities and your abilities to you see what, oh my God. And it's your counterpart. It's your counterpart. With the fucking King of Cups gets his counterpart. You're meeting your match. The 10 of fucking Swords, this shit, bro. Remember, all of this was just about spiritual truth. Spiritual truth. Who are you? What is the truth? What is the truth? So for those of you who walked away from that ending and you don't actually really feel bad, like you didn't even really, I mean, like outside of like, you let the smoke clear, but it was in broad daylight, and it was kind of just like unexpected. Like Seven of Swords is always just like, what? Whoa, what, you stealing what? Like, what's going on? It's like it just happens so in the day. It's just like, it just seems like someone's just getting away with something, but it doesn't, you can't really there's something to get away with. You know what I mean? The real advice here was to, why don't you go before it actually gets crunk? Because you don't even need, that's not even your karma. What's actually your karma is God is bringing you someone, your counterpart, the person that the opportunity, or the resource that you need in order for you to live out your spiritual mission in union. The King and Queen of Pentacles. This is huge. I mean, the Pentacles. See, it's about to bring you money. But the King and Queen of Cups are literally like governing their domain, because God is coming in and is giving an opportunity for them to come into union. So all you have to do, and that's how I know there was also a choice here. That's how I know it was also like you chose this Ace of Cups, King of Cups. You chose it. You chose to say, like, I see you're an Ace of Cups. I see you're a renewal, looking to be renewed. I'm the King of Cups, and let me tell you why you're my partner. That was also the approach. Like, you're getting this renewal, you're hook, line, sinking, you're going right into this reality, King of Cups. after this stupid ending that you don't actually feel bad about, because you used it as an opportunity for you to get very clear on what you are. That was the whole point here. And then someone else got the pain of, oh shit, they were that. This is like the pain of like, oh shit, I just did that to the King of Pentacles or the King of Cups. Damn, that sucks. That sucks. So then either way, you're owed a renewal, right? But the King of Cups, the whole point of you leaving in the first place, King of Cups, because you're still looking for your partner. You're like, yeah, okay, I get it. You're trying to hurt my feelings. I get it. You think I suck. I get it. But I'm still, if you're not it, then who is? And that's what gets revealed. That's what this Ace of Cups is. Who is the actual partner? What was the opportunity you were actually waiting for? What were you actually trying to alley-oop into? King of Cups figures that out. Look at this. Temperance in reverse with the Six of Pentacles. You're not going to get balance. Like, understanding what you're no longer, what you are not alchemizing, what is not alchemizing is actually what brings, it was holding up your money. Like the King of Cups realizes that until it went and started its search for its actual partner, for its actual, who it's actually supposed to be ruling for. Oh my God, this is that old cycle. The King of Cups is looking back and is like, oh, I get it. I was trying to alchemize. Again, it's probably this Ten of Swords situation that ended, and it was holding up my equal give and take. And I was getting anxious, and I was getting my head, and I was fucking terrified, and all this truth that wasn't true. It isn't how I actually feel. It hurts me to think this way. It's like nightmare. It's like haunting. It was haunting me that I wasn't able to, it was like it was a blockage. It was again, we talked about you had to keep your body clear, and this thing was a physical blockage. Right? 111 I just saw, but it was a physical blockage that was preventing you from actually physically getting back. Like you were putting something in, and it was like in all aspects of life, it's like I'm putting in and I'm not getting back out what I'm putting in. So then it would make you question who you are. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? That's what you're up at night thinking. Like, am I who I think I am? And that's why this was so toxic for you. That's why we start off like, this has got to go. You have got to leave the situation and not feel bad at all. And they've just got to sit with the fact that you are she. Here's the moon. You see what I'm saying? And that's what gets revealed in the end. This moon energy, this moon frequency, what you get called to, what you end up meeting up with ends the cycle instantly, because it answers the question. You finally see your reflection. When you, trust me, you will spend so much time wasted on stupid people, stupid energy, stupid shit that's not really for you, that's not really nothing but this. In the end, you're just going to have to like walk away because they're calling in a storm that don't got nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? The only thing that was really aligned is that you both needed to like end what was going on. Because I'm telling you something, the moon is your match. When you meet, like I told that story about my husband, like when I met him, I just knew. And it was like, when I met him, it wasn't just about what I knew about him. It's what it meant, what sense my life finally started making. Like all the people, all the men that I thought that I had all these deep, like just truly karmic, nothing, like just loose attracted twin, false twin, like all this useless, I'm not really connected to this person, it's just smoke and mirrors type of thing. When I met my actual match, it like started me on this whole maturation. It ended completely. And I've been on this spiritual journey, I would say, since I met my husband, because he was the one who really made my life make sense in terms of like, oh, that's actually what I look like. Okay, so then now it made it so clear what was inauthentic in me. Because when he came into my life, I could just rest in who I actually was. So then it was like, oh shit, okay, wait. So now I got to go back and get rid of all this stuff that I don't even have to uphold anymore, because now that I have this true safety, this true comfort, this true mirror, this true thing that I'm like, that is 100% reflecting who I am, for light, for dark, for masculine, for feminine. That is my fucking polar. That is we come from the same energy. That's what this is. It's like an opportunity, a resource, a partnership that comes in. And it was like, because you actually know who's really reflecting you now, it's so easy to identify what the blockage was and why it was holding up your equal give and take, your ability to manifest physically, what you should have easily been able to manifest, right? Stuff that you should have easily been had, like my channel or whatever, like these blockages that I had because I hadn't quite seen what I was really doing. And right now I'm like I'm able to see this like position in this role that I'm coming into in life. And what's beautiful about it is like when I even just saw it, when I just saw the words, I was like, oh shit, I am that person. And when that happened, it changed everything. Immediately after this moon let me see who I really was, oh my God, it changed everything for me. It really changed everything for me. So that's what I really see coming in this energy, is that, like, you know, the King of Cups has met his actual Queen of Cups. It knows what that is. And so think about how much things change when you actually know what's for you. The things that aren't for you, and if you're like really deep in them, if you're working for them, if you're related to them or whatever, and they're not for you, and it's proven that it's not for you because you see what is for you, oh shit, bitch. It ends it. It ends it. You successfully complete it, and you're done going around and around and around. Any other final messages, Spirit? Because this is huge. Oh my God. And everything is flowing again. Everything is flowing again. You know what I mean? So everything is flowing again, and it becomes like, then you have this union of, you're the high priestess, you're the psychic intuitive, you knew this was going to happen, you knew all of this was coming together, and you knew that you were willing to go through all this because it would put you right back at your Queen of Wands, which is what you're used to, that comfortable, like, I'm in control of what I can attract, I know what I typically bring into my life, I know who I am. And so then once the moon reflects, it shows you the opportunity, you then go there for it, you let your psychic version of yourself and your manifesting power, the most attractive, authentic, real, most beautiful side of you, you let that shine, and you seize this Page of Pentacles. And let's just see how the outcome turns out. Thank you, Spirit. You go from, oh my God, I'm the only one standing, and that's why I get the new beginning. You're the only one. You are the only one. And that's why you can let yourself feel this new beginning now, because you are truly the only one. There's nothing to feel sad about. There's nothing to feel. This is the situation. This is the outcome that is going to completely erase. I feel like this is the equal output. Like, if this loss that we started this reading with was so, like, took all of your focus, this is the type of thing this is your new focus. The fact that everything that I went through, right? Everything that I went through, Nine of Wands, is why I get this. Everything that I went through is why I get this. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap the reading there, I think, because I just want to really thank God for just allowing me to honestly give this message, to honestly be here, to honestly open up. I am really grateful for this whole experience, and I'm just excited to see what this message does. I hope it really reaches and resonates. I'm excited to watch it back with my partner this weekend, and I think we're opening a big portal of, like, really massive change. I think right now what I'm really feeling for myself is that today, and this message is probably really connected to the breaking of that, like, when it all starts coming in, because what we're ending on is this new beginning, this new freedom, this new free spirit. You're a free spirit, and it's because you're the only one where you are spiritually, and therefore all the new beginnings go to you, because you built a new world that only you live in, and now you get to be the person that creates the new world and goes into that. And to think it was all because you were looking at what was spilling. Five of Cups is a beautiful ending message at the bottom of the deck for all of this, because what spilled wasn't for you. That's why you don't actually feel anything. It's just kind of like, ooh, pour one up, because in the end, for you, you're so close, you're so spiritually advanced, you know that, okay, like, if this spilled whatever, then that just means you're not it. So who is? And this tells you who is. At this point, you know who is, and you probably already acted on it with this Mars and Leo energy. And I hope that your heart is roaring right now, and I hope that you're really opening up and letting that really transform you and take hold of you, and really remind you of how special you are, because you roared, because you were open to the renewal, because you recognize that this new renewal is coming from your actual partner, and that's why it's going to be different. That's why this isn't going to play out the same way, where you just end up with nothing but deception, and they're just hurt about how bad of energy they are towards someone. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that anymore. Like, even this is in the beginning, it's like, I didn't want this for anyone. I didn't want to bring out the fact that someone really needed to, like, grow or learn. I didn't want to, like, cause that at all. I really just want to know who my partner is, and I'm here to tell you, you know what's for you now. And because you actually know what's for you, you trust it, because you did the self-work to trust that what's being presented is yours, and that's your partner, and that's your Queen of Cups, and you two, you King of Cups and Queen of Cups, are going to rule and govern over your entire kingdom. You know what I mean? You know, your spiritual kingdom. You're going to be able to go and do and build your spiritual kingdom right now with this opportunity, because this renewal is what's meant for you. It's the waters. It's when we opened with that Lucille Clifton poem, right? This is your menstruation. This is what was promised. This is when God said, I know that the sea has receded and it is barren and it's a drought and there's no water. But if you fucking believe, if you build faith and trust, this water will return. And you want to be ready with your boat when the water returns and flows you all to sea, because it's going to cover the land, but you're going to be able to sail to the new earth in your boat, because you are now in the menstruation, in the great waters that have receded back within you and within your world, and you're going to be able to sail from this to that. And that place that you're going, once the waters cover the lands that used to exist, and now you're just in the boat, when you get to that, that's what's on the other side. That's your kingdom. That's your spiritual kingdom, because your truth would have gotten you through those seas, through those waters. And congratulations on receiving the resource, the partnership, or the renewal that is going to, or that's going to connect you to being able to live in your spiritual paradise from now forevermore. You know what I mean? This earth journey for you is so blessed moving forward. So blessed. Nothing will ever be what this was, because this was all for that outcome of changing everything and being able to live from your heart from here on out. So congratulations. This has been an amazing message. I hope that your boat has been blessed and that you are arriving and docking in the land, just like this image shows, in the land of, you know, what you've created. So thank you so much again. I just want to extend some love to, for anybody who's like, who watches this, who actually, it's fucking amazing. You know what I mean? I hope you know that this archive belongs to you. These are like these, you can close your eyes, divinate, go through the channel, and I promise you, you're held for everything that you're going through, and trust that your higher self can easily see through this library and align with the vibration that you need. And I hope this style of channeling was really special to me today. I really enjoyed seeing this side of myself, seeing what it looks like when my body is whistling and I'm able to really stand in what I'm saying and what I'm broadcasting and what I'm giving to the world. I knew it would all be different through my own work and through my own roar. So I'm pretty grateful for all the changes that are coming, and I'm ready to run. I'm ready to go. I'm free, I'm shackle free. So if anybody feels like, wow, I really need this reader to be in my life after watching this, like, don't you worry, because I got the keys to my castle, as did you. So be blessed. Thank you so much. And yeah, thanks. We'll see you next video.